What is good, everyone? Welcome to this video. I'm Charlie from Conscious Creation, and in this video I would like to share with you the difference between the 3D earth and that of the 5D earth. The information that I'm about to share with you is purely my perspective, so take it as you will. But I'm going to start off talking about the difference between the 3D earth, 3D consciousness, and the 5D earth, the 5D consciousness. So let's take the 3D to start off with. When you're in 3D, you are holding heavier emotions such as hatred, fear, worry, manipulation. And if you are holding more of this density within your body, it becomes the lens in which you see the world. Therefore, you get more of a reflection of that in your life. A 5D consciousness is slightly different. It's when you're holding more peace, oneness, unity, love, abundance, freedom. If you are holding more of these emotional states within your body, that starts to become the lens in which you see the world. Therefore, you are going to get more of a reflection of that in your life. So let's say over here we've got the 3D earth, the 3D energy matrix, and over here we have the 5D earth and 5D energy matrix. The interesting thing is that they are both occupying the same space, and the analogy that I'm going to use is I want you to imagine a balloon, and we're going to blow up this balloon really full of air just before it pops, and we're going to use that as a reference to the 3D earth or the 3D energy matrix. Then over here we've got another balloon that's blown up just a little bit of air, and we're going to use that as a reference to the 5D earth or the 5D energy matrix. Because this balloon over here is much bigger and much more expanded, it seems like the only reality that there is. But when someone goes through this spiritual awakening, when they go through this process of healing themselves, what they're actually doing is they're starting to release much of this density and heaviness from their body that keeps them glued to the 5D earth or to the 3D earth or energy matrix. And as they go through this process of healing, is their body is able to hold higher and higher frequencies of light and information. And because of this, they're going to find it easier to detach from the 3D earth and tune more into this 5D earth. Now, when you're in this 5D consciousness, because you're holding more peace, more unity, more oneness, more love, more freedom, that is reflected more and more in your life. Now, I used to listen to a lot of quantum healing hypnosis therapy practitioners, QHHT, and these are basically practitioners that would take people and put them into a very deep level of trance and use them as channelers. So they would channel information through that person, and they used to talk a lot about the new earth. And they would talk about the 3D earth, the 5D earth, but they would also talk about the 4D earth. And I would get really confused because I was like 3D, 4D, and 5D. And they're referred to as the 4D as this transition, this rainbow bridge. You've got to cross the rainbow bridge from the 3D earth in order to get to the 5D earth. And I love the reference of the rainbow bridge because it refers to that of Thor, the rainbow bridge leading up to Asgard. But what it basically means is, do you ever find that you can wake up one morning, you feel amazing, you feel blissful, you feel like you're in this 5D consciousness, and then the next day you're thrust back into the 3D, everything seems a bit heavier, a bit gloomier? It's because you've crossed this rainbow bridge back into the 3D earth. And the reason for that is because we need to go back to the 3D earth so we can bring up more of this density, more of this heaviness within ourselves. And as we go through this process of doing the inner work, we are going to find it easier and easier to detach more and more from the 3D earth and sustain and maintain a 5D consciousness for longer periods of time. Therefore, attract better things for ourselves in our lives. So let's say we've got two people walking down the street. One of them is holding a 3D consciousness. The other is holding a 5D consciousness. They're both occupying the same space. But let's say something outside of them happens. Now, the person in the 3D consciousness is going to react very differently to the person in the 5D consciousness. They might react more out of fear, worry, hatred, and because of this, they are going to get pulled down a timeline that reflects more and more of that back to them. In other words, they stay within this 3D energy matrix. The one who is holding more of a 5D consciousness, because it's more peace, oneness, unity, love, is their perception is a little bit different. And so how they respond to the event is also different. So therefore, they are going to get pulled down a timeline that is corresponding to those emotional states. In other words, they are going to get pulled more and more into a 5D consciousness and that of the new earth. So how can we go on this process of releasing this density, releasing more of this heaviness and tapping more into this 5D consciousness if it's something that you actually want? You might not want it, but if you do, a very powerful way of doing this is to start asking some questions, start asking some more deep and meaningful questions. Like when someone's in 3D, they say, this is all there is to reality. This is the way that reality works, and there's nothing that we can do to change it. When you start to ask questions like, there must be more to reality, there must be more than meets the eye, or does the system really have my best interests at heart? When you start to ask these sort of questions, any limiting beliefs, any conditioning that keeps you held or glued in the 3D earth energy matrix starts to come up to the surface for you to be aware of. And it gives you an opportunity to start releasing this stuff. And this is doing the inner work. If you look at the work of Dolores Cannon, who also brought about the Quantum Healing Hypnosis Therapy, the QHHT, she says in her books that we're transitioning more and more into our light bodies. And because of this, as we're doing the inner work and holding these higher frequencies, we are going to find it harder and harder to do the 3D stuff because it just doesn't resonate with us as it did before. We're going to find it harder to get drawn into the drama. We're going to find it harder to have those heavier foods and drinking lots of alcohol. We're going to find it harder to have that 9-to-5 job. It just doesn't resonate as it did before. In the spiritual community, there's also a lot of talk about light workers. What is a light worker? I'm going to give you my opinion of them. A light worker is someone who simply sees what is going on and they choose to do the inner work first. It can be a little bit harder for them because as they start to go against the grain, everyone else seems to think they're a little bit nuts because they're going against the norm and they're tuning more into this 5D consciousness. But as these light workers are tuning into this 5D consciousness and they're doing the inner work, the balloon of that 5D earth, that 5D energy matrix starts to expand, making it easier and easier for other people to start tuning into as well. I'm not saying 5D consciousness is better than 3D consciousness. It is simply a choice in which you decide to do. So thank you for watching. Peace. Take care.